Good morning, Nelson County Schools family. Welcome to today's edition of the Community Brew Live. We are so excited that you are here today with us. Before we get started, we have an amazing panel lined up for y'all. Y'all are going to be so excited to be part of this conversation. But before we get started, you need to grab the link below and tell your friends to come join the conversation. So we know that everybody's hanging out on Facebook and the Twitters right now and the emails and all the connected things. So let them know, drop the link in your group chats or your Hangouts or your Facebooks or your Twitter feeds or whatever, and have them hop on over and join in the conversation. We have some very special guests on our panel today, so I don't want anybody to miss out on this live conversation. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time joining us live on the Community Brew, hop on over to the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. Let us know you're here, and definitely be part of the conversation over there. We're going to be asking a series of questions. And also don't forget, our content is always posted by 9 o'clock in the morning, every morning, during the school week or during the work week or the Monday through Friday week, whatever it is I'm trying to say right now, on ncsntidays.com under For Teachers. So you'll be able to catch the content that we're discussing there live every day by 9 o'clock. So good morning, good morning, and good morning. I'm going to toss the mic over to our official host for the morning, Laura Arnold. She is our Workforce Development Director, which was probably the wrong title, so feel free to correct me there, Laura. But I'm going to toss it over to you, sis.
All right. Good morning, Nelson County. I am super excited to be with you all today. And I'm even more excited that we have a rock star panel that is mainly composed of our student leaders who are helping us reimagine what opportunities can look like for students as we really think about our future. So prior to the brew, you were provided a reading, and we also had a podcast, and Tom Vander Ark led some of the discussion on the podcast. And in the podcast, he made reference to what an unpredictable world we're living in at this time. And he talked about the complexity of the world. And I thought that was so relevant when we think about some of the things that are happening right now. And as we think about an unpredictable world, it also impacts our workforce and what an agile workforce that we have. So when we think about the future of work, when we think about our future world, the author in our reading really talked about how we need to take learning from being viewed as finite to it really being considered more of a continuous process, and for students have the desire to want to continually learn. And when we think about like the current structure of even school, like it's even set up to really help us view education as finite. Because think about it, we have like English content, we have science content, and kids just move from one content to another. So today we want to spend some time with some of our workforce leaders and students and explore some of the experiences that were mentioned in our reading. Things like place-based education, creating entrepreneurship opportunities, and thinking about how do we prepare students for a future around technology and STEM education. So we're going to be transitioning to some of our panel leaders who are just going to help talk about how we're starting to scratch the surface on some of these experiences. So first, we're going to kick it over to Amber Godey. And she's going to talk a little bit about place-based education and kind of facilitate some questions with our students around place-based experiences.
Good morning, Nelson County. I'm very fortunate to have two students join me for my time this morning, Miss Ellie Height and Mr. Jacoby Robertson. I'll let them tell you what school they are from. So if we can start with Miss Ellie, can you kind of explain to the panel exactly what the Bluegrass Airport experience looked like?
Hello, Nelson County. I'm Ellie Height. I'm from Thomas Nelson High School. I'm a junior. The Bluegrass Aviation experience is a wonderful, wonderful, unprecedented program put on by the Bardstown Airport that was sponsored originally by Dusty McCoy. He bought us a whole kit to build a real airplane that someone will buy and fly later. And our responsibility is to build said airplane correctly, make sure that nothing goes wrong. And we get to leave school every school day and go to the airport and build that airplane with students from other schools and our wonderful leader, Mr. Hammond.
Thank you, Ellie. So when Ellie says Mr. Hammond is the teacher at the airport. So our students actually physically leave school, and this classroom takes place at the airport in Bardstown. So moving to Jacoby. Jacoby, if you could tell them what grade you are and what school you are at, and why was it important for you to participate in this experience?
Hi, my name is Jacoby Robertson. I'm a 12th grader at Nelson County High School. And why was it important for me to go to this experience? I just think it was important in general to go and be part of a community environment like that and really understand what it means to work on a team and see something through to the end. Um, and I guess more specifically, just learning like the uh, inner workings of an airplane. There's just so much to be learned from that from a mechanical perspective. um, and yeah.
Thanks, Jacoby. Jacoby didn't include this, but he does plan to pursue something in aviation next year into college and his future life. And when we listened to the podcast, just making Jacoby's comment made me think of this. He talked about contribution. People contribute for two things: a sense of obligation, so feeling like they have to, or a sense of purpose. And then with the sense of purpose, what motivates you? So you can see with this program with Ellie and Jacoby and all the other students that they are motivated and feel a purpose to do this. All right, Ellie, I'm going back to you. What have you learned about your community through this experience?
I personally have learned that there is more to any community that we believe that we know, but specifically to Bardstown. I knew that we had an airport out over yonder by where we dump our trash, and I had absolutely no idea everything that goes on, all the wonderful people, all honestly, we get a lot of people from out of town. Like a lot of people just fly in and either get gas, go to the bathroom, stay, chill a little bit, hang out around Bardstown, and it just it expanded the view of my community and I mean just the view of my world because I didn't realize how much traffic we got through Bardstown, and it was really incredible to know. And it also exposed me to the wonderful people who do run and hang out at the airport. And it really is a community. It's people who love what they do, who love where they are, and who are here to help other people also love what they do. It's great.
Awesome. So, as you all know, our students have made multiple connections with multiple mentors through this experience. So, Jacoby, last question. What have you learned about your community?
Sort of like what Ellie said, but just how caring and how open they are. Like I've had there's been multiple instances where we're in the airport and somebody that I've never seen before will be walking up to Mr. Hammond or I or one of the other students just trying to help out. Like there's so much community involvement where especially where we are at the airport that that I had no idea about, and it always seemed like a very closed off community. But when you really get to when you get to involve yourself, you find out that there's so many more opportunities and so many people are willing to talk to you. And I just think that's just something that I never knew before.
So, you guys, Jacoby and Ellie, you all are getting lots of love over here in the comment section this morning. Lots of powerful comments out there. Everybody's showing you love. Haley Victory, welcome. Thank you. She says thank you to both of you guys for sharing your all's experience with us. Kelsey Berryman also says love seeing students leading this community brew. Renee Hedges says, so proud of you. This is impossible stuff, and this is impossible stuff that you are doing, and the sky is the limit. So, if you are at home watching with us this morning, we kind of want you to think about this question: what is the value of connecting students to your community? You've heard from Ellie, and you've heard from Jacoby, and what does this look like in your own school? Drop that answer in the comments, and we'll pop back in here in a second to hear from you. But think about what that might look like.
Thanks, Brooke. And I know one of the readings that some of the workforce leaders have been looking at, there was a quote that talked about schools are social, but yet they're still very insulated. So we still kind of insulate ourselves from the outside world. So I think when you look at what's going on with the Bluegrass Aerospace experience, you see Jacoby, you see Ellie, and all these other students really connecting with the outside world. So another piece of the reading talked about STEM and coding, and I know that's something that we've been throwing around. And I talked to Chase Goff a lot about like what can STEM education look like, and how do you embed it in everything we do every day. And we're going to kick it over to David Mudd and Tia, and I think they have some questions they want to explore and talk a little bit about some of those experiences.
Good morning, Knox County Schools. David Mudd, and as Heather Worrell would say, I'm a teacher on special assignment. Love this new opportunity to be a workforce leader at Thomas Nelson High School. Not only do I get to work with community partners, I get to work with, seems like almost every student in the school, because the future is to get our students out connected. We just seen that in the last year that people are coming into our community to want to help us create these opportunities. And one of the opportunities that came available that we had no idea about just probably last fall was the Greater Knox Coding Academy. It's a coding academy in Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, and we have invited Tia Luz. She's a senior at Thomas Nelson High School. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and just tell her why it was important for her to have the opportunity to experience the Greater Knox Coding Academy. So Tia, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then I have also some questions that Charlie Cantrell from the ATC, the IT leader, will be joining us as well. So Tia, go ahead, take it away, and tell us why it was important for you to be a part of the Coding Academy.
All right. Hi, I'm Tia, and it was really important for me to just branch out, and I knew that IT was something I wanted to pursue, and this opportunity kind of came to me, and I went for it, and I'm really happy I did, because it's really like broadened my horizon of what I thought I could do. Coding is been on the rise. It's a really needed position and almost every job, and it's a really good opportunity for me to get my certifications and be out in the workforce right after I graduate from high school. And I think that more students should be getting involved in this because it's such a good opportunity. And I think that everyone that has been part of it has really seen how much they can do and the opportunities that come along with it.
So Tia, tell us a little bit about your background, experience in STEM curriculum. I know you're from Virginia. Do you want to kind of share that out?
Yeah. I moved to Nelson County last April, so it's almost been a year I've been here. And I went to school in Virginia, and they really pushed our STEM program. So I took part in designing websites, coding, robotics, 3D modeling from a really early age, and so did a lot of other students there. And I think they saw the potential of the technology, because I feel like technology has really been on the incline for jobs and positions in the workforce. And I think that that's a really good like place to focus is the science, technology, engineering, and math route.
Okay, thanks. What about, and I was going to kind of bring Charlie into this, Charlie Cantrell to this conversation about what is, what can we be doing as Nelson County Schools to provide a strong foundation from a STEM perspective? Charlie, and then I'll let maybe Tia, you finish up that question from a student perspective. What do we need to be doing? And then we'll turn it over to Miss Arnold.
Well, we need to strengthen it certainly at the secondary level, but I think before that, we also need to be looking at the middle school level and possibly even before that. You know, we've at the ATC, we've came up with a tentative schedule of dedicated the AM to be able to put kids through the coding academy pathway. Basically, a introduction to computers course, a computational thinking, then an AP computer science class that can work two purposes as an AP class and also as a math credit. And the two other courses we're looking at doing, those are dual credit to Elizabethtown as well. And so, but I think we need to also strengthen that at the middle school level, possibly even before that.
Thanks, Mr. Cantrell. Tia, if you'll finish it up, we'll turn it over to Miss Arnold. What is your perspective on being able to create a strong foundation within our schools?
To create like a strong foundation, I think that more students need to realize that you don't have to be just like wanting to do technology to be part of STEM. I think it's like every student should try to find like a place in like the STEM program where they see fitting. And I think that once like they realize that technology is not just for like computer kids or like people who are just focused on technology, it'll really be able to like branch out more.
So, okay, there is no way that I'm going to let this conversation go without piping in. So, and I'm going to really hold back because my first question is, Tia, would you like to be my BFF? So that's the first question. We can connect later and be best friends from a safe social distance, of course. But so first of all, you're amazing. The work that you're doing is literally incredible. I am so passionate about just this, specifically the STEM conversation in general. But I have to give Robin Hanloser a shout out. In the comments, she said coding equals hidden career in every industry, which is kind of like what you're saying, Tia, that, you know, and that's like, you know, my sort of soapbox that I get on, which I'm not going to right now for everyone's sake, but it's something that is a skill that makes us better no matter what industry that we're in. You know, sorry about that. I did not discover programming and coding until I was probably 30, and it made me better at literally everything that I was already doing. So couldn't be prouder of you, Tia, and everybody, especially in that Greater Knox Coding Academy, especially for just jumping in head first and being like, yeah, let's do this. Let's give it a go. So shout out to you all. You are incredible. So I'll be quiet. Laura, you just go ahead. I'll keep going.
I knew we'd get you pumped up this morning on that one. I was just waiting for it. So thank you. And you are a great advocate and cheerleader for that work. So I appreciate your input there. So we're going to touch base with one last leader and really reflecting on the podcast. So in the podcast, Main Gerard talks about students really being able to opportunity lens. And he even quotes Seth Godin when he talks about, like, what do students really need for the future? And he talks about students need to be leaders and they need to be able to become problem solvers. And one of the things they talk about is entrepreneurship. So in traditional career and technical education programs, for years, they've talked about entrepreneurship. But I think it's really thinking about how do you step that up and really bring it across all disciplines. And we have John Hammond with us today, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the things happening within agriculture. And he has Ben Williams, who is going to kind of guide us in some conversation around entrepreneurship in agriculture. So, John?
First of all, I'm honored to be a part of the conversation. I'm John Hammond. I'm an agriculture leader at Thomas Nelson High School. And what Laura's talking about with entrepreneurship is really reigning fully investing in our program, we have a lot of opportunity for students to explore a lot of different workforce development paths. And for us, we try to give that opportunity to look at entrepreneurship, and really what that revolves around is a student identifying their own project, their own business that they want to build. And so I have with me Ben Williams, who's going to be speaking a little bit about that. So Ben, what I'd like you to do is introduce yourself and talk about what your entrepreneurship project is.
Hello, everybody. As Mr. Hammond said, my name is Benjamin Williams. I'm a sophomore at Thomas Nelson High School, and my entrepreneurship project started through FFA, and it is known as my SAE, or Supervised Agricultural Experience, and it is a Kentucky Proud ice cream truck that I started back when I was 14, which was in between my 8th grade year and my freshman year.
All right, awesome, Ben. So Ben's had an excellent time with this ice cream truck and sees a lot of opportunity to move forward. And so the one thing a couple things I'm going to ask: what things helped you move forward in planning this project?
Some of the main things that helped me was really family and friends, but the support that I got from my community and my family members, and business and legal advice from my parents. My dad works at Kentucky Farm Bureau, so I was able to talk to him about like business and legal advice, and he was able to help me find a good background to go off of. And my mom has been great at helping me build creative ideas and really expand my project into something that it's not just like a plain truck, it's something that's kid friendly and also educational. And also the support of the Kentucky FFA Foundation. It has been really wonderful to me and has helped me move my project along.
If Ben, if there was another student out there that wanted to do an entrepreneurship project, and I'm not saying an ice cream truck, I'm saying really anything, any kind of entrepreneurship, what kind of advice could you give them, a student or a teacher that maybe wants to implement this in their class for allowing students entrepreneurship? What advice could you give them in order to build this up and to start an entrepreneurship?
Well, I would tell them that anything's possible. You just have to have the hard work ethic to do it. And you really need to have support from your community. That's a really good background or basis to improve your project. But I would also tell them to be prepared for failure and mistakes, because those happen a lot in entrepreneurship projects, and you have to grow off those. You can't just fall back or be discouraged by them.
And lastly, can you, because I know you have an interesting story with how you developed this idea. So can you just share really what your inspiration was to start this ice cream truck?
So in FFA, you want to do like an SAE project to improve an industry or to improve your community. And I knew that in 2018, the Kentucky dairy industry had been hurt by Walmart moving its processing plant for its milk, or moving who it gets its milk from. So that hurt a lot of dairy farmers that were getting contracts with Walmart. And I wanted to do something that would kind of help boost the Kentucky dairy industry after losing so many dairy farms. So I decided to go with with the local dairy that I grew up around, Cheney's Dairy Farm. It's located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And so I go through them to get Jersey ice cream, and I go out and sell that.
Awesome. So thank you, Ben. And one opportunity for you here. You've got quite a few people listening in the room, so give a cheap plug for your business. Tell them how to contact you and all that kind of stuff.
What'd you say? My connection cut out.
All right, so you've got an opportunity to give a cheap plug. So tell us about your business. Tell us who to contact and that kind of stuff if they want to book you for a party after this coronavirus thing's over.
So you can contact me, or you can find me on my Facebook. I have a Facebook page and Instagram. It's Ben's Jam and Ice Cream. And you can also contact me at my cell, 270-316-1564. And you can also email me at benjamin.williams@stu.nelson.kyschools.us. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to pipe back in here. My next question is, Ben, would you also like to be my BFF? Okay, so I'm just saying, I literally put a comment in the chat over here on YouTube. I'm like, how cool are our kids? Like, I have four new BFFs on this call, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Ellie, Jacoby, Tia, Ben. Um, okay, so first of all, I'm like so excited. I'm really distracted. So, we have Lisa Thomas from the chamber. She dropped in to give you guys the shout out. She said, "What great student leaders we have in our community. So proud of all of these community partnerships. So glad to see some chamber young leaders on the panel." Thank you, Lisa, for popping in. We have a lot of people, Ben. I think we had some people like scribbling down your number and looking you up on Facebook. So lots of fans in the comments of your ice cream truck, Ben. So definitely good job there. And let's see, we have Jesse Morgan. He says recognizing the impact that business decisions have on the local community. Very cool stuff. Let's see, Miss Victory, she's a big fan. She said Ben Jammins was one of the food trucks at the Cox's Creek Spring Carnival. Book him today. He is wonderful to work with. So listen, you got principals out there plugging you, Ben. Great stuff, you guys. Great stuff. I also just have to pipe in on this whole entrepreneurship conversation too, because that's, I didn't like. This is the best morning ever. I love everything that we're talking about. It's just so cool. And Ben, like, I just am so inspired by you and Mr. Hammond for like mentoring him through this project, and just gosh, you all of you are gonna just do so many incredible things. Like, what I would give to be learning what you're learning at the age that you're learning it. Like, how stinking amazing.
So, to kind of sum us up, I think we spend a lot of time really asking like the why around community-based experiences. And I think when you hear these students share their story, we can definitely see the benefits and see how they're really connecting and networking and building social capital. And Ben's ice cream is awesome. I love it. I had some at Thomas Nelson one day. It's great stuff. But I know David and Amber work directly with our students every day. They're tied into these experiences. And I say my morning inspiration is when David Mudd calls me on my way to work and is like, "Hey, I got a student reflection to share with you about some stuff going on in work-based learning." So David and Amber, to kind of sum us up, do you have any other quotes from some of our students or reflections just about their experiences they've had as they have connected with people outside of the walls of our schools?
Sure, thanks. I don't know if you can see, but we have students do some reflections, and I'm just going to do it quickly, so I know we're running out of time, but this is from Caroline Boone, and she just loves working with Carla in the Nelson County Board office. But she says the environment around you can change who you are, and you can change the environment around you. Just thought that was extremely powerful. I love Jacob Head. He works at Hill Hills Automotive. He's in an automotive co-op. Says, my experience impacts the community by showing them what WBL is. There have been numerous times people have came into my work and asked how old I was and what I was doing there instead of school. The answer is always the same. I'm learning. So, touche. Love Jacob's comment there. And then lastly, this is one of my most powerful. The whole context is Sammy Howard is working at the Nelson County Early Learning Center, but she said, through this experience, I have grown as a person, allowing my perspective on the world to change. The small, consistent acts of pure kindness is what makes a difference in someone's life, a community, and the world. So from a 17, 18-year-old's perspective, we know the world is waiting for them, and we know that our future is in really good hands.
I think David just provided a drop the mic moment. So, Brooke, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us this morning. I am just so energized by the panel and the conversations that took place this morning, and having our student leaders on here with us. It was just the best. Thank you all for getting up early with us this morning. In closing, one of the things, the traditions that we have here in the Nelson County Schools, usually when we gather, we end with gratitude. So what I want you guys to do, and I'm going to try this. I'm new to, broadcasting live on YouTube, so hopefully this works. But what I'm going to do or attempt to is go to our website, ncsntidays.com. And I don't know if this is streaming live. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're just looking at my face. We'll see. Hang on. Let's see if I can. Oh, no, I think it's working. And I want you guys to click on the 4 students, find a school. You can pick your school, any school, find one, click it. And I want you to drop some gratitude for one of our school communities. The flip grids are really coming to life out there, and they're really fun to listen to. And that is what I want to challenge you guys with today in closing. After this really inspiring and energizing community brew, I want you to go share some love and gratitude with some of our school communities. So this is the end of our program today. That was a really corny way to end the show, but you all, we will see you tomorrow. We have some more amazing content lined up for you all tomorrow. So check out ncsntidays.com under 4 teachers for the content that we will be discussing tomorrow. See you guys soon.